Call to order the Bucksport Town Council meeting Thursday, May 23rd. Roll call, Jacob.
Mark Eastman.
Here.
Aldous Knapp.
Here.
David Key.
Here.
Peter Stewart.
Here.
Dan Ormsby.
Here.
Paul Goddard.
Here.
Robert Carmichael is absent.
Item 3, presentation of any town council recognitions. I don't believe we have any. Item 4, consider minutes of previous meetings. We have town council minutes from 5/9/19, infrastructure and property committee from 5/9/19, town council minutes from 6/9/16, and town council minutes from 6/30/16.
To make a motion to amend the minutes for the Bucksport Community Concerns at $6,000 and to subtract that from the Bay Festival.
So on the last council minutes, there was a recording error. We've given Bucksport Community Concerns 6,000. It's showing 4,500, and I think it was the will of the council to take whatever was left over. So we'll just take 1,500 away from the Bay Festival and add that to Community Concerns.
I want to take responsibility for this. Our clerk had it recorded at 6,000, and when he gave me the minutes, the total came out at a higher number than we had approved, and so we went down through, and the 1,500 came off what was an original $4,500 request by Bucksport Community Concerns. So I take responsibility for the error. I took it off from the one that was. So
Very good. How's the council like to proceed?
So I'll second it.
So we have a motion with amended second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5, receive and review correspondence. We have Down East Transportation Ridership Report for April 2019. Again, getting good ridership out of that. Item 6, ordinances to consider. I don't believe we have anything tonight. Item 7, discussion items. First is an infrastructure committee update. Mr. Bissonnette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lengthy meeting this evening. Try to keep it as brief as possible. First item on that agenda was a request for benches and a bathroom facility on the Miles Lane trails. The discussion in the committee meeting was that to investigate the possible use of restrooms at the football field, as well as our economic development director indicated that there will be additional porta potties near the Miles Lane trails over the course of the summer, more than there have been in the past. And then regarding benches, the recommendation of the committee was to dig into that further and look at a Google Earth's map, so to speak, to see where those could possibly be placed. The fourth item on the agenda was the request for purchase of property on the Racecourse Road. Chris Grindle Sr. is interested in purchasing approximately 2 acres. The council, the recommendation of the committee is that the council, of course, would need to decide if they're interested in selling any property and see how much land would be involved, what the footprint of that land is, and of course notify any abutters to that property. So that will be coming back to the committee. The next item was a request for purchase of property between lots 50 and 43 on Forest Hills. It was from the Bayou family. They have their driveway runs on that piece of property. They've maintained that driveway and believed, or a portion of the family anyways, believe that they've owned that property for the better part of 20 years. And so the recommendation right now is to refer this to the planning board with council approval to sell that property. The next item, the second to last item, is a request for the public safety building for both garage door sensors in the amount of $3,000 and bay heaters. The garage doors, by the way, the sensors would be on all bay doors, including at the police department, all 7 bays. The bay heaters were in the amount, of, if the isolation valves do need to be replaced, that bid would be for $11,300. In the event that they don't, ABM Mechanical has the low bid of $10,350. The recommendation is to approve that to the council, both of those to the council. Lastly, zero sort conversion. The recommendation of the committee is to move that forward to the council as well. The town manager would correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, what we would pay per ton for both trash and zero sort recycling would be $100. That's a combined rate, whereas right now we are paying a little over $200 for that combined rate. So that would be a significant savings for the town. And the committee suggested to move that forward to the council as well.
Great, thank you. We'll have some resolves coming up on those if we have any more discussion. Next item is the main water exemption extension discussion.
Our assessor is here to help with this.
Thank you. Hey, Jeff?
In your packet, you have a letter from Rick Knowlton of Maine Water that introduces the concept of extending the exemption that was granted in 2014, which was also an extension of a previous exemption, plus an additional exemption on the new water tank, which is on Silver Lake Road. So most of the exemption, if you look at the spreadsheet that I prepared on there, that kind of explains all the numbers. And also gives some more explanation as to why this is done and the basis on which it's done. We can get into any of that if you like, but the numbers basically say that the exemption on personal property would be continued on property that's 2014 and older. New personal property we add as taxable. So you see the taxable value has increased since 2014 as the exemption decreases because of older equipment that is retired and the depreciation on some of that older equipment. The $500,000 exemption on the water tank pretty much holds the same. So that just shows what we're proposing, and if the council would like to continue that. So I don't think you're trying to make a decision tonight. This is just for information. So if anybody has any more questions about that.
I'll be the first one. It's almost beyond my scope of trying to figure this out without having you explain it, because there's a lot to it, and I think we're taking what your recommendations are going to be if we're doing the right thing. I mean, it's law by the looks of it. Yeah,
it's a bit unusual in that Bucksport it's a privately owned company, but there was special legislation in 1887 that allows the town.
You remember that one?
I do.
That allows the town to negotiate with the water company for an exemption of this sort, and so it's outside of the normal tax laws, and it's something that they've taken advantage of over time. And I think they kind of resurrected in 1999 when there was a large investment in the water system, and they realized that, well, hey, can we do this and not have to raise the rates to cover that tax portion of it? The idea is that there's a public benefit to the water system, so that an exemption on a portion of it kind of is justified under that idea that.
And if there wasn't the exemption, would it come back through the users?
That's what Rick mentions in the letter, is that the break that they get, the tax break, they say they give 100% of that back to the users. I don't know who follows the accounting of that, but that's what they say is what happens.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Anything from the public on that? So this is an informational.
At some point prior to this year's tax billing going out, you'd have to make that decision, or else this either would be.
Just carried forward, or?
Is this?
Well, the last time the decision was made 5 years ago, it was granted for a 5-year period. So if that exemption goes away, then we just have to tax them on that property.
I understand that. What I'm saying is that if we were going to make a decision to do something, if we don't extend this year is the year that it would end up, or is it next year?
No,
it's this year.
It would.
So the action would need to be taken sometime in June to determine, before we commit taxes, whether or not this exemption is going to move forward, for us to know that.
Has this already been factored into?
I didn't add in this,
Yeah, well,
yay,
it's
but, you know,
interesting,
we
yeah.
found this,
There's a lot of
Yeah.
factoring that still needs to be done.
yeah,
For
no,
the-
I didn't, this is
Yeah.
not, that, changing this was not anything that,
that's what I'm asking. I mean, is the expectation to stay status quo?
Well, that would be my expectation, only because this hasn't been any different since I've been here, but, it wouldn't make a huge difference, but, you know, I think perhaps, Maine
For the-
Water's got it
Part of the
factored in.
goodwill piece of it and everything
Yeah.
else, right? I mean, I think you said it, that's part of the public water or the water system.
Yeah, that's
Do we do
the,
this with any
well, this was
Right.
started
Right.
back
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
you said 1999 that they resurrected this?
yeah, that's what it says in Rick's letter, and that's how my records appear that it kind of came back as an exemption. It may have been off the books for quite some time, but the basis is still the 1887 legislation.
All right, anything from the public? Yes.
I just wanna know, does this remain on the valuation of the town, even though it's an exemption? In other words, does it leave our bottom line saying that we're still valued at this amount? With this included into that value?
Well, that's a good question. I do have to claim this on our the municipal valuation return, so the state does know that this is an exemption. They know that, and I don't think it is added back as value that counts, you know, toward our municipal valuation. I think it's seen as, just like a lot of other municipal property, it's exempted and they don't try to add it back in. So I believe that it's I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it doesn't affect our state valuation amounts.
In terms of penalizing us for receiving state aid to education or revenue sharing or any of those kind of things, it's out of that calculation.
Right. I think if we made it taxable, that it would be in that calculation. But we explain why it's been exempted, and I think they accept it as like it was municipal property.
So it would hurt us if we didn't have it, in a way.
Potential's there.
But the potential for it to hurt us
Yeah.
with aid, you know, with school aid and things like that, it could put us in a, you know, like you made more money this year, puts you in a different tax bracket.
Yeah. In that regard, it does count against us for municipal revenue sharing, school funding, and all that.
Thank you.
All set? Anything else?
So we'll bring this back at a meeting in June for a decision. Is everyone with a resolve? And I'm assuming, what kind of a resolve do we want? Do we want a resolve to extend or a resolve?
I think what I'm hearing is it sounds like it's an extension is not bad, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
I'm good with an extension.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Where are we? Item 8, agenda items. First, resolve 2019-47 to approve the abatement of uncollectible personal property taxes. We have 4 abatements for uncollectible taxes that total $469.18.
Yes.
Motion to approve?
So a motion and a second to approve, to resolve. Any further from the public, from the council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have resolve 2019-48 to use public safety building reserve funds for installation of garage door sensors at the public safety building. Again, this was through the recommendation of the infrastructure committee.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further from the public, from the council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. 2019-49, authorizing the town manager to write off uncollected ambulance charges for the period October 2nd, 2014 to December 2nd, 2015. I believe we have $47,893.60. And part of those $1,520 are actually deceased folks.
That's correct.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Any further from the public? From the council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Just gotta get down through my agenda here. Resolve 2019-50 to approve a contract with Coastal for zero sort recycling, again, through the recommendation of the Infrastructure Committee.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to approve. Anything further from the public on this? From the council? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. And the last is to approve Resolve 2019-36 to approve the bay heater replacements in the public safety building. And again, that was through ABM, is that correct, Paul? Is that what we decided?
That's right, yes.
Does council like to go?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Anything from the public? Further from the council? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, resignations, appointments, assignments, elections. I don't believe we have anything. 10 is approval of quick claims. Do we have any quick claims to approve? No. Item 11, town manager report.
I'll steal the council keys. So as I'm sure most of you have heard by now, the land sale between AIM and Whole Oceans was completed on Tuesday of this week. And on Wednesday, Whole Oceans representatives, their contractor, engineers, met with the code officer and other town staff to begin the local permitting process for their development. The initial meeting was productive and set the tone for what we believe will be a positive plan moving forward. I find that it is significant that Whole Oceans chose to meet with town officials immediately after completion of the sale in order to ensure that their plans are consistent with our local ordinances. And in addition, Rich Rotella and I have a meeting with Whole Ocean's attorney on June 4th to discuss their TIF application that will be coming to the council as well. And then Tuesday was a pretty great day, because in addition to that, RSU 25 reported that they have been the recipient of a $250,000 gift from Bucksport High School alumni Shelby and Andy Silvernail. The funds will be used to implement a 3-year math coaching program to improve student math skills, and a portion of it will also be used to add state-of-the-art equipment to the industrial arts program. This generous gift is greatly appreciated by everyone and is a testimony to the love they have for their hometown and the desire to improve the lives of young people here, and certainly a big thank you to them for that very generous donation. A public reception for former Fire Chief Craig Bowden will be held on Sunday, June 23rd from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Bucksport Middle School. Light refreshments will be served, and speakers and presentation of Bucksport Fire Department retirement gifts begins around 2:45 p.m. I met with the members of the Senior Resource Committee on Wednesday. They have been working on completing the action plan that goes along with our designation as an AARP age and ability friendly community. We will be bringing that to the council for approval once it has been reviewed by AARP at the state level. In addition, we discussed the need to find ways to better coordinate resources for those in our community who need help in staying in their own homes. The former Thriving in Place program filled that role for several years until funding ended. I will be convening the same group of agency partners that were part of that original program to see if there are ways we can find to fill the gaps that have been created since the end of that program. Fire Chief applications. Applications for Fire Chief closed on Friday, May 17th. We had 26 applicants. 6 are from Maine and 20 are from outside of Maine. I will be setting up interviews with them for this after the Memorial Day weekend. There will be an interview panel involved, including a full-time department member, a member of the call department, our police chief, a fire chief from another municipality, and me. My goal is to have a recommendation for you by the beginning of July at the latest for a new chief. The committee working on the plastic bag ordinance project has asked for it to be put on a regulatory review committee agenda on June 13th. They have submitted language that they want to be considered, and our attorney has done a brief review of it to make sure that it is consistent with state law before coming to the committee. And a reminder also that the RSU 25 district budget meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 29th at 7 p.m. at the Bucksport Middle School auditorium. All residents of the district are encouraged to attend. And 2 more things.
Okay.
I'm sorry. One is that we need to have a Spirit of America Award recipient for this year that we have not yet done, and that is, so if anyone has, we have two pretty significant retirements this year. Either or both, if you wanted to do two recipients, are certainly
Fit the criteria.
fit their criteria, which is community service and community
Great.
involvement and
Sure. Any-
just
any-
that.
Fit everybody's bill, okay?
That
think that's great.
Sure.
So if we were to nominate Kathy Downs and David Keane for that, and this year, well, actually, we have three retirements. We have
Three.
Chief Bowden, too. You can do, a number of communities have done multiple people. You can do three if you want to. You want to do all three in 1 year, or?
They could have separated it by a year, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, really, I understand that as well as anyone.
No, if they fit the criteria, I think those are solid choices.
Is that okay? Okay, so we'll move forward. And then, I believe you all received by email a report from Main Street Bucksport on their current activities, which reports on their third annual Community Cleanup Day held on May 17th. It was very successful. They have accepted 38 artists into the 5th annual Bucksport Arts Festival, which is on August 9th and 10th this year. Another 2-day event. They're considering changing the Bridge the Gap race to the first weekend in May. They are having a Jonathan Buck's 300th birthday party on Thursday, July 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Congregational Church parking lot, and tickets will be available for that. Flash and the Pans will play a street dance at the town dock on July 29th. That's a free event. They're doing Kids on Main this year, again, next to Walls Dairy Port, from late June through mid-August. They extended thanks to the council for approving their fundraising dinner on the waterfront. They've already sold over half the 75 tickets that they were going to sell. And they are working on Brooke is working on a business recruitment packet with Rich on the project, and also engaged in implementing several of the heart and soul ideas, working on expanding the community cleanup, establishing a buddy bench program, and expanding the downtown flower program, as well as establishing more waterside picnic areas, excuse me, and building a playground on the waterfront. They also are working with 12 downtown businesses to produce a brochure that will go to the main tourism rest stops. So they've been busy, and this report will be on our website with the packet if anyone wants more information.
I'd like to compliment Brooke on that. If every committee gave us a report that thorough, we'd have a lot more reading to do, so thanks very much to her.
Oh, the Maine Association of Planners also nominated and awarded the ADAPT plan for Bucksport as the project of the year for the state of Maine. So that was another award that came back to Bucksport for its accomplishments.
Any questions from the public on any of that? All right. Item 12, excuse me, item 12, set public hearings. We have 4 public hearings, it looks like. First one is Article 4, weight limits and restrictions. Declare the public hearing open. Any comments? We've had several meetings on this. This is talking about changing road names and weight limits that we've discussed for several months now. Any questions from the public on this? Public hearing from the council? Declare the public hearing closed. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve that changes in the article. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. The next public hearing will be on council rules update. I'll declare that public hearing open. Again, this has some changes in language to that we've talked about again over council meetings in the last several months. Anything from the public on this? Anything from the council? Declare that public hearing closed.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. And this proposed charter change, is this to send it to,
The charter change, if you approve this, would go, language be developed to go on the
on the
ballot.
ballot, correct? So we're having the public
That's
hearing to
correct.
see if we want to have the language approved.
That's correct.
Okay. Declare the public hearing open for proposed charter change to add language on attendance that will be on the November ballot. Is that correct? Any questions from the public on this? From the council? Again, these are things that we've discussed, so declare the public hearing closed.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Warrant and notice of election.
Yes, that's right here.
Is that a public hearing also?
Nope, that's just a vote.
We have the warrant for notice of election for the school budget, for RSU 25, election of that school budget. How would the council like to go?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything from the public on that? Anything from the council further? All those in favor? Opposed?
These are
Motion
your
passes.
7 lines right
I think
down
we need
here.
7 signatures on that. All right, that's all of those, correct. We don't have anything else here. Item 13, discussion of items not on the agenda for the council and the public. We'll open up to the public first. Any items for discussion?
Just because I can't see from a distance. I just have a couple stories. I'm Nancy Minot from Bucksport, and I was a part of the Bucksport Heart and Soul, so I listened to lots of stories from people in Bucksport of things that mattered to them. So things that go on in town or things that go on personally, because I'm a citizen here, I think about these statements that the town council adopted about a year ago. So 2 things have happened. One, last night, Hans and I went to the high school music spring concert, and it was incredible. So I just thought education, an innovative school system which emphasizes varied educational extracurricular I'm sorry, I'm a little bit, I wasn't planning to speak, so I'm a little bit, opportunities for all learners. And we were just very excited to be part of a community that does value that. I think one of the things that stood out besides the high caliber of music was the engagement of the kids in this. And to see these high school students when they were changing from a jazz combo to a chorus to the full band, the students totally were in charge. They were just there doing it. You know, Mark would be off stage. And I thought we're creating leaders. And I think that's a great thing to celebrate. The other one is about the town government. This might be a little bit harder for me to speak about, but take a deep breath. The part that jumped out at me was the transparent town government responds to the needs of residences, maintains and supports community services. And a couple months ago, I had a really tough family situation. And it was with a relative that lives out of state, and I didn't know what to do. And I was really in a lot of turmoil that night. And I thought, well, I'm going to call the Bucksport Police Station and say, do you have any ideas? What should I do? And I'm sorry that I don't remember the name of the officer, but I couldn't have asked for a kinder person to listen to my concerns, to offer ideas of how I could move forward. And when I got off the phone, again, I was grateful. It mattered to me that we have that service here in town. And anyways, I celebrate that. Thank you.
Anything else from the public? From the council?
Mr. Mayor, the just so it doesn't just sit around and collect dust, the 82 ideas that were generated from Main Street, I put copies in all the counselors' boxes so that they could have another look at it and maybe put it in their briefcase and maybe once or twice a year pull it out and see how we're doing on it, since this all came from the general public.
Anything else from the council?
Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Yes.
I've got 6 counselors, but it only looks like I have 5 signatures. I'm not sure.
Oh, mine's stuck in the middle there. If you look at it's kind of dribbled in between the lines.
Okay.
Trust me,
Gotcha.
I got it, man.
He didn't have glasses on.
I'm just saying, let me make sure here.
Saving space.
We good? All right. Item 14, upcoming hearings and committee assignments. Need an infrastructure.
To continue the work that was
Okay.
discussed tonight.
Yeah. And set a public hearing for the budget adoption.
We also need regulatory review for the 13th.
Oh, for the bag one.
Yes,
Right, yep.
for the plastic bag, so we need,
So who's on infrastructure?
I am.
I'm on regulatory.
You're on regular.
Isn't infrastructure what we had today, right?
Yes, you got it.
So
6:30 would be better than 6.
We can do that.
I get out of
We
work
don't
at
have
6.
such an extensive
you
agenda.
want regulatory review at 6 and infrastructure at 6:30?
Who's on those committees? You have that right in front of you?
You're on the latter one, David.
I'm sorry?
You're on the regulatory review.
Am I on the regulatory?
No.
Okay.
That's
you guys are
Mark
killing
me.
me. You guys are
Oh,
killing me.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I thought the whole 6 thing might have just backfired on me.
So do we have
And
all those set?
I
Okay.
do, and the public hearing for the
Will be-
budget
will
would
be
be
during
June 13th.
During the meeting.
That's correct.
Correct. All right, item 15, budget review.
Okay, so, it just feels, I'm sure, like I've been talking about this budget for 6 months. It's really only been it's only been 3. But
What the?
at the end of your last meeting,
Oh, sorry.
okay, we have a police officer present who would notify me if we had any imminent threats. So what I put together was a memo that attempted to address the overall questions that had been raised during the process that weren't specifically addressed at that time, and offer recommendations and some rationale for how we move forward on some of these things. And so that is there, and then you have copies of what would be the resolves for the adoption of all of the general fund, the sewer, the capital, and the marina budget, followed by the updated budget breakdown, which shows expenditures through April 30th as opposed to February, which is when we started. All is a way that the bottom line being that the overall budget, including the school and the county, increase for this year is 2.4%, which I think is responsible, and that it's not excessive. It doesn't, some of the big hit items to it are things like additional paving. Those are large items, but that's been identified as community need by this council to start doing that more. In reviewing it, the insurance item came down. I had added an extra month in that shouldn't have been there. That dropped it considerably. The further investigation into our transfer station and actually Looking at the actual number of tons that we've been generating of waste since Orrington left allowed us to drop that another 200 tons, which is $14,000 in the gross at $70 a ton. They net it back at $5, but we have to pay it out at 70 and get a rebate. So that has reduced that line item even further than it was already. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of this. The budget is what you've come up with thus far, apart from the changing the 2 items that were done through the minutes tonight will be necessary because those 2 items are not correct in these resolves. That would have to be corrected, but the decision tonight is what to move forward to public hearing, whether this is the budget you move forward to public hearing for all of these sewer, general fund, marina, and capital projects.
In changing the single sort that we just did, is that figured in? Okay, so you figured we'd approve that?
It seemed rational to think you'd drop the tonnage cost by 100. Yes, I had anticipated that you
That's
would.
why I'm glad you're our town manager.
You're returning to the days of Roger Raymond.
Ouch.
That's perfect.
No offense intended.
I bet that'd be a good way.
I mean, when you look at the three large expenses for that $260,000 increase, you have health insurance, you have the additions of roads, and you have the addition that the school added, which is almost $200,000 of that 260. So across the rest of the budget, I think a lot of the budget managers did, listen to what we were asking, listen to what the folks were asking from the town, and came in pretty close. I'm pretty sure that the mill rate is going to stay the same, what we've talked about with doing some of the revenues that we have coming in and everything else. So, anything from the public on any of this?
So I think you just answered it for me, Mayor. Then with the mill rate, flat is last year. Perfect. I loved what you presented to us. Next time, can we break it down into like 20-page sections? 45 scared me.
You won't be here next time, remember?
You know why? You do whatever you want next year.
Wow,
I like that.
Up here.
Come on. Am I bleeding?
True story. The number of pages is related to the fact that when you were reviewing your budget, I paid attention to what you were asking me to provide additional information on it. And that's what I was trying to do.
That was perfect.
Anything from the public? From the council? So I guess everybody's okay with going forward with this one here?
If you would need to make a motion to.
Motion for second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Motion.
Motion. Item 16.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes. Adjourned.